It would seem as though.
Wouldn't it?
It
Wouldn't
would
it just
seem as though it is Pride Month. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride?
Happy Pride.
Day what? What is it? The 8th? Happy 8th. Happy day 8 of Pride.
Happy
Look, you only get to be Pride for this month, so Pride. You only get to be proud for this month.
Yeah, the rest of the year I'm fully ashamed, but today
But today,
proud.
girl,
I'm very
screaming.
proud.
This one month of the year.
But the rest of the time, not so much. No,
That's,
just kidding.
I always think that's comical, too, to have months of things. Like,
It's also Men's Health Month.
I don't give a shit
So, like
about
the
that.
other 11 months, they
Listen.
can drink beer and
Listen.
sit in front of the TV with their hands down their pants. But this month,
Ew. The same month of like last month, Native American Heritage Month and all that. Native Hawaiian Heritage Month is also like a military appreciation month. And I'm like,
that seems very contradictory.
Like, Native American Appreciation Month or whatever is November with Thanksgiving. So I just feel like slaps in the face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, gotcha. So that is bizarre. Why on
Weird.
earth would you have Thanksgiving and Native American or Indigenous
I know.
heritage? Oh, it doesn't
make any sense.
Yeah, what?
I don't get it. It's
Wonder.
like, yeah.
I'm
It's
going
like-
to have Women Appreciation Month and Misogyny
Yeah.
Month at the same time.
Yep, we're gonna have Pride, and then we're gonna have only the binary too, celebrating only the binary.
Right.
Like, I don't get it.
Normal
Girl.
People Month.
Western culture's stupid.
Why isn't there straight pride? That's what I want to know.
Because what the fuck do straight people have to be proud about?
Oh, well.
I'm just
What's funny
wondering.
to me is like when I've actually heard people say that. Why don't we have a parade? Every day of your life is a fucking parade.
I guess
You
it's
don't
because
need
you're
a parade.
boring. Because you've never fought through anything. Listen, here's my one of bone contention I have is like people who find the things that make them a quote unquote oppressed person. Like being a woman. You mean, yes, women are oppressed over men. I get that. But just because you're a woman does not mean that everything is so much harder, right?
Right.
Your experience as like a white woman is going to be a different experience than like a black trans woman. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
So like, let's not pretend that you're like a marginalized human being. And I deal with this a lot because of where I work. It's very much white people. It's Happy Valley, Oregon, for God's sakes. But like, there are people who are like, well, I'm a lesbian. Yeah, but you're essentially a white man. You know what I mean? Like, you're a butch white lesbian, so you're a white man.
What
girl.
I want to see is I would like to see someone do a graph, and for each thing, change the margins.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so the margin that is like 8 feet wide is,
Sure.
white man. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's got everything.
Sure.
And then, or maybe go the other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because marginalized, I'm not sure how you do it. But still, it's like white man, top of the list.
Yep.
Never had to fight for anything. Always given everything.
Yep.
Whatever. And then white women.
Yep. Yes.
Still most of the stuff.
Yep. Well,
And then go,
but
woman of
relational
color.
power is so interesting, right?
Queer
Because we
woman,
can't.
queer woman of color.
Because then we're adding in, you have to think about it like intersection. You have to think about like, your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your sexual. You have to think about all at once, right?
Right.
Because it can't be like, if we're doing it racially, we can do it, yes, by identity specific, right? But it's hard to do like individual people collectively on like a graph of oppression and privilege, right? Because everyone is so different.
Right.
You could be, again, a white cisgendered waspy man, or you could be, a differently abled black trans woman who was in foster care. Do you know
By
what
the
I
way,
mean?
does she win? Like,
She
for
wins the
most
Oppression Olympics.
marginalized?
Oppression Olympics, girl. She is winning. You know what I mean? She got the gold. But what I'm saying is like...
But then the Republicans will fight for her to get a gold because she's trans and in some sort of contest, and they can't have that.
No.
And you know what? I just realized that,
Sorry.
4 minutes in, we haven't said who we are, what the hell you're listening to. This is,
Cares.
it would seem as though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
And sometimes we talk about it before we even introduce
Yeah.
ourselves. I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika, and guess what? I don't need to follow any sort of schematic, bitch. I do what I want. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that has been the case since birth.
Right. So, listen.
I was actually using you for an example the other day.
Great.
Well, I mean, it was one you'd be very proud of because we were talking about
Cool.
children who don't seem to follow that path of like, here's
like a linear path.
well, kind of, but it's also the here's what I told you to do. Here's what'll happen if you don't do it, and then they usually do it
Mm-hmm.
Or if they don't do it and then they get the consequences, get all mad and cry.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and then there was Annika, who literally would just sit there and weigh the consequences and be like, well, I want this thing, or I don't want to do this thing. Is it worth this punishment? And I never in my life even seen such a thing. A 4-year-old sitting there going, now I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm going to get this consequence if I do it. Mm-hmm. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it. I'll do it. And they were like, really? I go, yeah, she's still that way. She's 33, and just still like, yeah, this is what I want. Yep. And yes, this may cause some problems down the road, but I will deal with those problems because this is what I want.
Yep.
Or this is not what I want. Whatever the case is.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
So
I love that.
But back to Pride. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things going on. So this, one of the things I wanted to share with you, because I just love this. I saw this, and I know I talked to you about this the other day, is Linda Carter, and if you don't know who Linda Carter is, where have you been? She played Wonder Woman in the original TV series, and she's still beautiful and amazing and outspoken, and she basically was just tweeted out the other day something saying, you know, she was so happy to celebrate Pride with her LGBTQIA friends and fans.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of Wonder Woman riding on a rainbow. And some ignorant woman Wonder Woman is not for the gays.
Right?
I love the gays.
The
gays. To which she tweeted right back, she said, if you want to argue that she is not a queer or trans icon, then you are not paying attention. You know,
and
because she said, now, you know, she played Wonder Woman in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But she said since then, and you know, we're a long ways from the 70s.
Girl.
That she has had people coming to her continuously from the 70s till now saying, you playing this iconic, strong female role empowered me as a trans woman, empowered me as a queer woman. And I'm sorry, how would Wonder Woman not be a queer woman? She grew up on an island of all women.
The Amazons, and not the Amazon rainforest, but the Amazonian women of like mythology. Yeah, it was just an island. It was just a land of nothing but women who were badass, like fighters, warriors, like archers. They were smart. You know what I mean? It was like, to me, it was like the women, just the all-women version of like Wakanda. It was successful. It was growing. It was powerful. You know what I mean? But in the Western Eye, it was problematic because, well, either for
didn't have any men.
Right, it didn't have any men.
Well, and the men, if I remember the stories properly, the men were just brought in for like breeding stock.
Yeah,
to create more.
I can actually tell you because I know.
Oh, please do.
I can't remember what hero it is. It doesn't really matter, and it's an irritating story to me now. But in Hercules, let's just say, it doesn't matter. Goes and needs something from the Amazonian women, but they capture him, and the only reason they ever bring men is to breed, which is like cool beans. Do what you do. But somehow Hercules outsmarted Hippolyta, which was like the chief woman, right? She was like the top captain woman. She was the queen of them all. He like outsmarted her, and she like just fell so stupidly, madly in love with this hero and gave him her girdle, which was like powerful, magical girdle. And that's how he was able to go back and defeat some monster or like win the thing, right? In like whatever story of this hero. But that was an irritating story to me because I'm like, really? They're powerful, you know, like great, strong, independent women, and then some fucking Greek hero shows up and they're like, hubba, take this magical thing, and
we don't need it anymore.
I don't even want to be a ruler. I just want to be your domesticated little wifey. I know, it pissed me off a lot. But the Amazonian warriors in mythology were all women, and they were brutal. Men were afraid of them. Kingdoms were afraid of them, right? Like, it wasn't just like, oh, an all-woman society. Like, no, they were badass.
But that is what I like about so many of the women in mythology.
Yeah.
I mean, like Cersei. Total badass. Went and lived on the... I mean, she was punished to go live in the island by herself.
Sure.
And she was exiled, right? But while there, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, men are going to come fuck with me? They're going to keep landing on my island?
That's what I'm going to do.
This is my island. I'm going to turn them into pigs.
Yes, bitch.
And keep them as livestock.
Yeah.
Sorry about
So she was just like this woman who was powerful and had like a bunch of animals. And like, I think other women.
Yeah, there were other women that lived there.
But like, yeah, cool. I know, that's what I love about mythology in general. But a lot of times deities or, you know, demigods or whatever who are women are just human. You know, they're fallible, but they have like love and passion and, you know what I mean, power. Any of the Greek goddesses, too. Half of them annoy the shit out of me, but, like, they all have autonomy and power and fuck shit up. And I'm like, burn it down, Sister Mary Margaret. I'm into it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Anyway.
Sunday. This last Sunday, we're still talking Pride and what stuff.
Right.
As you know, I went and did the All Ages show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for those of you who don't know, never seen, the All Ages show is exactly what it sounds like. It's a show primarily for all ages. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily include all ages, because sometimes we don't have young people who come to perform.
Right.
And sometimes we do. Like this year, we had a young girl who was 10.
Oh my god.
But then we had three or four teen, early 20s performers.
Okay.
Now, the way that the dressing room is set up, it's the girls who work at Darcel's all the time have their space kind of up on the mirrors and whatever. And then there's little kind of nooks and crannies that you can kind of go change or do whatever. Because even though the dressing room is bigger than my house, it's all rows and rows and rows of costumes and props and things. Anyhow, and I ended up back in a corner with the children's.
Of course.
And I'm all...
How'd that
so
go?
you put the oldest person in the entire show, other than Darcel, in the corner with the children.
Shut up. It's Darcel than you.
I'm afraid it was.
That is
honestly,
cute, girl.
Because I mean, like, she's 91
and you're 84, so it does make sense.
90, so right. So I'm just barely like minutes younger. Bitch. Anyway, but I'm sitting there chit chatting with these young girls who were all just charming and delightful and wonderful.
Sure. You know, I've never heard of children that were like that, but it sounds interesting.
Well, they're late teens, early 20 queer people.
Different, okay.
So, not, to me, children, because I'm old. And these people were so young. But it was funny, we're sitting there chit-chatting. And like, oh, how long have you been performing? Oh, I've been performing for 2 years.
You're all me
oh,
too.
It's like, and she's like, and I graduated high school on Friday.
You're all wet.
Okay. And the other one's like, oh, I've been performing for 5 years and I'm 19. I'll be 20. No, she was 20. I'm like, you started performing when you were 15? That's awesome. But I'm all, I feel so freaking old.
Yeah, right?
Because I'm here with these 3 girls that their combined age is still less than mine. I'm like, oh no, because we had 20, I think 20, and 18.
Oh, girl.
So, yeah. Do the math. Yes, I'm 60, so I'm still older than the 3 of them.
I love that.
But they were lovely. They were charming. They didn't make me feel old. But that was interesting. One of the kids who performed sang live. Not one of those 3. It was a different young lady. Excuse me. Performed live and sang a Billie Eilish song.
Okay.
That apparently had some curse words in it.
Oh, no.
Now, I was downstairs, so I could hear music, but I couldn't necessarily hear the lyrics.
Sure.
But then there was some kind of
hullabaloo.
Because she said a naughty word, and I was all, who cares? You know these kids have heard it all.
Yeah.
It's like, not like any of these children are like, also, Mommy, what's that word? She said a word.
It makes me laugh because in front of your children, I don't filter what I say kind of ever, right?
No.
Like, they have
heard it all. Well, and since they stopped parroting, I stopped filtering.
Oh, yeah.
And now that Kinley has turned into, like, Miss... I heard that. What? Why are you saying that word?
I'm a teenager. Mom!
Don't say that word. Oh my God.
She goes to me, sis, I can hear you. Shut up, I know. Yeah. I wanted you to hear me. Okay, but wait. The sidebar. One of my favorite things she ever parroted, and she was a little girl. We would watch RuPaul's Drag Race with Jocelyn Fox, and Jocelyn Fox has...
Keep it foxy.
Her little catchphrase, keep it foxy, want, and she raises her, right tit twice. And Kinley Grace used to do that all the time.
I forgot about
And I was like, oh my god. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah. I love
kids.
Little brat.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah.
The audience loved me because, of course, they did because I'm fabulous.
Right.
Lots of my family was there, so that was fun. I had cousins and nieces and nephews and random queer people who are part of the family. We have a lot of queers in our family. Isn't that weird? It's so weird. It's weird. But yeah, they all came and that was fun. There was something else I was going to tell you about that specifically. I mean, other than I felt just incredibly old. But also, so to get to and from the stage at Darcel's, you have to go up this tiny, narrow, tedious stairway that is literally it's narrower than my hips. Now, granted, my hips are wide, but it's a tiny stairway that has very like deep stairs and again old. And so I'm like, I had to go up and down these stairs multiple times to do the show. By the last trip up and down the stairs, thankfully it wasn't a real trip. I did not fall. Girl, I've seen it happen. Deadly. I am like, oh my God, I may never walk again. I still have to walk to my car. I still have to finish this last number here because I was in their little closing number because I used to do it when I worked there. And they're like, you remember this number? Yeah, I haven't done it in 30 years, but yes, I remember.
I'm a pro.
I'm like walking to the car like I'm 150 years old. Yeah. Like, bring Grandma her walker.
Right,
like,
exactly.
It's Wednesday and my legs are still sore.
Yeah.
Like, this is too much for an old.
And we went to Costco yesterday, bitch.
I know, we did the Costco thing.
We did the Costco.
40 miles of the Costco.
40-ish.
I'm so glad Costco's here aren't as big as the ones in California. I would die.
Bitch,
I would die.
Yeah, to me, everything's bigger in California, though. I mean, they say that's Texas, but like literally, girl, the shopping malls in California, in Los Angeles specifically, or Southern California, go on for fucking ever.
Well, the one
South Coast Plaza. It's stupid.
40 miles wide. Well, but that's what's funny is then there's the one up. There's one in Toronto, and then there's one in the Midwest somewhere that are always competing for who's the biggest shopping mall.
Like Mall of America.
Mall of America.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate it.
Because
Why?
they keep growing so that they can
so stupid.
We just added another building. To what?
I know. And why? Here's the thing. You don't need 40 different levels. I almost said layers. Anyway, 40 different levels. You don't need like 14 different of the same store in different wings. You know what I mean? Like, condense it, bitch.
Well, you might need it because people get lost and they're going to need food along the way.
Honestly.
And they're going to have to like take breaks and naps and you have to have a hotel in the middle so you can sleep.
Right. I remember being a teenager and I was like super into makeup. And we went to the Mac store, but we looked at the directory. It was like Mac, because there's like 7 of them in this one mall, and they're all on different levels, scattered throughout. But I was so confused. Like, I'm used to like Lloyd Center or much smaller
one Mac
malls.
store,
which doesn't even have a
or
Mac
no
store.
Mac store.
Right,
you go
exactly.
to shop it at Nordstrom.
Exactly, which isn't there anymore. But you know what I mean? Like,
no.
So I was like shooketh, and I never went there when I lived there because I fucking hated South Coast Plaza.
We're having some troubles. Are your dentures loose? What's happening?
I don't need that from you.
So the other thing I was going to say about the All Ages show is apparently around the time we were having our
oh my god,
words are hard today. Our All Ages show. That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
They had one in Texas, which immediately caused this Republican representative in Texas, asshole. His name is Brian Slayton. Now. He was not at all bothered, apparently, by the murder of, 18 children. But the fact that children saw drag queens, incensed. I must protect the children. Protect them from bullets.
Just give them guns.
What do you... Give the drag queens guns. They'll shoot the bad people. I don't care.
Bitch.
You actually probably don't need them.
No, because listen, the bad people that drag queens consider bad people and queer people consider bad people are not the same that Republicans consider bad people.
True. That is true.
They are each other's enemies.
So he wants to refiled a bill to ban drag shows in the presence of minors.
That's stupid to me.
Totally stupid. Did he do anything about banning automatic rifles?
No,
because the NRA owns him, as does the.
But he's probably a big, strong man, so nobody owns him, except the NRA.
And I was like, what kind of trash bag human is? First of all, if I want to take my children to see drag queens, you can best believe I'm going to take my children to see drag queens. That's none of your business as a legislator.
Great. So when you get arrested and have to parent your children...
First of all, that would make it that I was in Texas.
Ew.
And the chances of that happening are slim to none.
If that happens and you get arrested, I'm going to have to arm your children. I'm going to teach them how we're going to go fight the power.
I have been to Texas once, but only the airport. And that was weird enough.
Ew, I haven't even been there.
The fact that the first thing I saw in one of the stores was a stuffed armadillo that holds a wine
I know,
bottle.
you talk about this often, and
because it's gross.
That you think it's gross, and I'm like, oh,
well, so cute. Poor stuffed armadillo.
I know, that is really sad. But when you first showed it to me, I was into it.
You're all, I want that.
Can you
I'm
get
going to carry it as a purse.
Yes, bitch.
I'm going to pull my things out of the armadillo's guts every day. Maybe have it hold my lipstick in its teeth.
You're a bad person.
Wait, was that supposed to be some kind of revelation?
No.
I'm a bad person?
It's just observation.
Yeah, well, you're not the first to have observed. Although those young queens at the all age show said I was sweet. And they thanked me for
They're
being so
young,
nice.
girl.
But
I need you to keep in mind that they're young. They don't know.
They know the difference between mean and nice.
But they don't know the difference between like actually being kind and being fake. So
I was being very real and nice. And yes, I can
Sure.
be. It has been reported in the past that I can be a little cunty, but I was not. I was very sweet.
Has it been reported?
You know what? On that note, I'm taking a break.
Bye.
Bye. I love that while we're sitting here, you're playing with a naked, headless Barbie.
Listen, it was here already. It's not like I brought it
Her
with
head
me.
is somewhere on the table.
Is it?
I saw her head
Her
earlier.
head is
I was actually
somewhere.
drawing on her head earlier.
Oh,
and
God.
my son was like, why'd you draw on her face? I wanted her to have no face. Well, okay. I don't know.
I don't know either.
This
but
is the weirdness of my life.
I love that you're
Bald.
like, I can't.
Well, and her
believe-
little head is bald, and he took like nail polish remover to her face, so she has no face.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like how
it
you
is what it
question me playing with a headless naked Barbie, but it's been at your motherfucking table. It's not like I was like, oh, I need to bring my water bottle, my phone, and my headless Barbie.
Well, that is true. It was on the table, and if there are things on the table, you are going to play with them. That is who you are.
Yes.
Another thing I was going to mention that I found this week on the interwebs
Okay.
is there's a thing called the Everywhere is Queer map.
Oh, right.
So look into it, people. It's called Everywhere is Queer map by Charlie Sprinkman, and it's an actual map. And if you are a queer business owner, you can, if you're not already featured on it,
Yeah.
you can submit your business and your name and your information and stuff. And if she feels like you
Are good
belong,
enough.
if you're queer enough, I'm
If
not
you're
sure.
queer enough.
Because you might not be. Maybe you're only a little queer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Like, very tiny.
Yeah.
Queer.
This is like, it's like the gay yellow pages, but interactive in a map,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, well, and the
queer.
problem I have with the gay yellow pages is so much of it isn't gay.
Oh.
It's like gay supporting.
And that's not the
I would
same.
love to. No, it's not. And I would love to be like, I want to support all of the queer businesses.
Yeah.
You know, which reminds me, many years ago, I was at work one day, and I was saying something about how I wanted specifically to support queer business.
Yeah.
And the person I worked with was like, well, isn't that just the same kind of discrimination?
Mm-hmm.
If you, I was like, how is that discrimination?
Yes.
I'm discriminating against the straight people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I'm trying to support people in my community, build them up,
Well,
keep their,
It's the
businesses
same way.
afloat.
It's the same way. It's discrimination in the same way as like reverse racism is reverse
Oh,
racism.
I mean,
Do
it's
you know
not
what I mean?
real.
Yeah, it's definitely not fucking real. It's just white people being offended and upset. But you don't want to buy from me, but you want to buy from those queer people. And that's when that's when true colors come out, girl. That's like when people say shit like they're not racist, they're not transphobic, they're not problematic until you piss them off, or until somebody who does pisses them off, and they're like, oh well, that son of a, and then they are racist
Right.
or transphobic or problematic.
Well, I'm not, but I hate queer people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, but I hate. Yes, I know, because I hear it when people get all offended. Where was I? I was one day somewhere, and this guy was mad because someone else like cut him off or something.
Sure.
And he just starts screaming the N-word at him.
Oh, God.
And those are the people who are like, well, I'm not racist, but I was mad.
Yeah, I'm not racist.
Well, if that word even comes out of your mouth,
I'm sorry, honey,
if
but
that
it's
word
racist.
leaves your mouth, that means it was in your head.
Yeah.
You know?
And guess what? That's called, okay, so like your first thing that comes to your mind is what you were taught, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is like growth, right? So clearly either that's what he was taught or that's what he's grown into. I'm going to assume that's what that man was taught. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just people don't get out of that. People are like, oh, well, it's just, I didn't mean to. It just happened. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just my instinct.
By the way,
That's horrible.
that excuse, that argument, I didn't mean to. Also, I find to be super, super great when someone says, I didn't mean to cheat.
Oh, stupid.
So someone was laying there and you fell into him?
Like,
How does that happen? How do you not mean to cheat, but
Right.
then you fuck someone?
Yeah.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
that doesn't make any
What also goes along with, they're not my drugs, I'm holding them for someone else.
Uh-huh.
Which nobody believes that either.
Some people should believe that. Sometimes you should believe that. With the accessibility of
Should
drugs.
we?
Yeah. Girl,
I'm sorry. When Paris Hilton got arrested with cocaine in her purse, and she's like, "It's not mine. I was holding it for a friend." This isn't even my Gucci bag.
Listen, the true ride or die
Lindsay's Gucci bag.
Great person that I am as a person, a good friend person. I have done things for friends, such as hold substances that may or may not be criminalized in the United States of America.
Well, then my question is why?
Because I'm a good fucking friend. Did you not hear that in the beginning?
I heard the ride or die.
Uh-huh.
But my thought is, if I was like, okay, I'm going to put a bag of cocaine in your purse. No, you fucking aren't.
Listen, I also walked around...
Put it up your ass, because that way they're not going to search you because you're not putting it in my purse.
Girl, I walked around San Francisco with, like, a handle of vodka in my giant-ass purse and, like, walked into bars at 19 years old. So, like, it's a little... I thought I was invincible. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you were young and stupid.
Exactly. So, like, it happens. And so that's my point is, sometimes you are holding drugs for a friend.
Well, but I guess my point is, it's not like you didn't know they were there.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sure.
Yeah, it's not
but
like
they're not mine.
What? How did that get there?
Yeah, but those aren't mine.
That's my $5,000 purse, but that is not mine.
Do you know what you do? Instead, you do. Oh my god. So I have some cocaine, but it's not mine. Do you see this? It's cocaine. But it's not mine. I just have it.
I don't know how. I think it was a free gift with the purse.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Gift with purchase.
Oh, I thought it was one of those silica pads.
Yeah, I ate that earlier, and I just was so full that I was like, I'll save the other one for later.
You're
so
stupid. I'm leaving.
Wow.
What were we even talking about?
I don't know.
Before we got to that.
We were talking about Pride, and we were talking about the idiot
drugs.
in Texas, and all the idiot Republicans in Texas.
But what is our topic again today? Guess what? It's none of that. It's social media.
I know. Well, we're almost a half an hour in, and we haven't even talked about what our topic is, let alone talked about our topic.
You know what? That sounds on brand for us.
Yeah. Because why? Tangents are topics.
Tangents are probably the best topics.
I would agree.
Here's the thing. If we can just keep jumping from topic to topic, my brain is the happiest it's been. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like, I need you to talk about this only, I'm like, I have nothing to say anymore. You know what I mean?
I would like you to do a full solid 10 minutes on this topic.
Yeah.
Help!
And there are topics I could do that. But don't make me like think about it. Just be like, talk about makeup now. And I would be all, okay, let me tell you about this. Or pick something I know about, you know?
Speaking of makeup,
oh my God.
That's not on our topics today. I have been watching this kid on the YouTubes who does this whole series called This Is What It's Like to Work at Sephora. Have you ever watched him? Love. I have giant love for him. Because he's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I bet it was horrible.
Well, yeah, because you get these rich, stupid women who come in and they're like,
yes,
I need this. One of the ones he does is like, I have this blush that I've been using for 37 years. It's basically just an empty container with no name on it because it's so old and worn out. And I need you to help me match this color. It's like,
it's so good.
But there's nothing to match it to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are you unprofessional? You can't do it.
That is so comical to me.
But what I didn't realize, one of the kind of ongoing jokes is that you'll get this conservative white lady come in and be like, I heard NARS has a new blush line. What is it called? And apparently their names, I didn't know this. I own like one NARS eyeshadow.
Yeah.
It was like, they're very risque names. Like
their number one selling blush is Orgasm. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and so as he's looking at the bottom, you hear his internal monologue of, oh God, don't make me read this. You know, it's like, now I just want to go to Sephora to buy NARS blush.
I love it. Yeah.
I want a lipstick that's called Cocksucker.
Yep. Well, listen,
they do have one that's called Pussy.
I'm not
so
sure.
It's like,
look, I'm not sure.
I know. I know you're not shocked.
Are you
bothered?
Not bothered. It's very... I feel like I understand that because I worked at the Clinique counter for a minute. But in Happy Valley coffee.
Yeah.
So it was like, again, mostly white women. And Clinique is not geared towards like a younger crowd. They were like, you know what?
Oh no.
We're gonna make it so young people want to wear it. And here's what's that bitch's name who sings all about that bass?
Oh, right.
Megan Trainor. Oh, they're like, she's our spokesperson. And I'm like, you chose that 40-year-old woman in a 12-year-old's body. You chose her to be the spokesperson for, like, the young people. That's not going to get you fucking anywhere.
Well, I love Megan. She's not terribly hip, though.
No, and I find her obnoxious. But that's fine. It's fine. People love her. But mostly it was white women who, A, wanted me to, do their makeup every fucking day. I don't know. Be able to, like, teach them some magic, essentially, so they could take that home. And people always wanted shit for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people just wanted things that were, like, unexpected, right? Like, they wanted things like a full transformation. And I'm like, bitch, I get paid minimum wage, and I'm at a counter. Do you know what I mean? Under fucking fluorescent
Listen, so
lighting.
here's what I want. I don't want
Uh-huh.
much. I just want a very light, almost nude face with a smoky eye, but no dark colors.
Right,
And it's
exactly.
like,
What?
that's not possible.
And, like, my favorite was
And I want it to look younger, and if I have any fine lines, I want you to use some product to make them disappear. And I don't want to have any pores. And it's like, what you need is a plastic surgeon,
bitch.
not a makeup artist at the mall.
Makeup often can't fix your texture, bitch. Your skin feels the way it fucking feels.
That's called a filter.
Yeah, bitch. But I loved doing, like, dances and
You
proms.
should invent, like, a filter that you can somehow
Just
like
wear it?
have. Yes, you can just wear it.
It's just called the silicone mask, I'm pretty sure, at this point.
Oh, I suppose
But anyway,
so.
I like doing proms and stuff.
Beekeeper mask.
Beekeeper. Just, girl, wear a bag on your head. I like doing proms, but we never got paid accurately because I've also done makeup freelance. So, and I got paid so much more than at a counter. Because when people came to get, like, for proms, they send their makeup done at Clinique. It's not like we charge them anything, really, to get a full fucking face.
Right.
And so that was really irritating to me because I'm like, you know how much I've charged for this son of a bitch before? And you're making me do this for free, essentially, you know? It was really irritating. And there's things they wouldn't let me do, like apply lashes to people. And everyone's like, what? Like, well, it's around the eye. And I'm like, I get it, bitch.
When I'm going to put on mascara, that's also around the eye.
Yeah, I also
I'm going to put on eyeliner, which is, wait for it, around the eye.
I was like, one, bitch, I was raised by drag queens, and two, I wear lashes literally every day of my life. So I'm pretty sure I'll be okay.
I'm good here.
But no, can't let me. That was just like the most fucking irritating job of my life. You know what I mean?
Was it?
Yeah. I gotta wear a lab coat, so I gotta feel like profesh.
Dr. Annika.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I now am a doctor, so I need to be paid way more money.
Yes, but I don't know, it's just obnoxious, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't get paid enough.
No.
You make shit commission in cosmetics, so.
Well, and I have found, like, when I've done cosmetics and stuff because I mean, as a licensed esthetician, you know, when I've done makeup for weddings and stuff, either the people have these super unrealistic expectations because they've seen it on the social media. There we go. I've mentioned
that topic filtered,
but they've seen like a Kardashian who's like looks so natural with her 40 pounds of makeup and 3 filters on her, and it's like, I want to look like this. Well, go to the plastic surgeon again because girl. I can't do this. Or you know, it's like, or they want to pay you virtually nothing. Or they wait till that day and go, well, I know it's supposed to be 6 girls at this price, but it's just me now. Or it's like, no, you know, this is my time and my money.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I've gotten older, I've gotten smarter where I'd be like, well, but we're booked for 6 people.
Yep.
And that's what we're paying. Or yes, I need a deposit of half that is non-refundable.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm taking time out of my work, I'm leaving my salon to come do you. That means I'm not getting my normal people who would come into the salon. So yeah, I need a non-refundable deposit. And people get real pissy about that. It's like, but what if, what if you cancel?
Yeah.
Then I'm out half the money I was going to make.
Make sure,
girl. And I guess you should probably have your shit together.
Yep.
But the unrealistic expectations, and most of it, I am going to say, is tied to social media because people see these people doing their makeup on TikTok and on YouTube and different things. And the cool thing about that is I have seen so many people who have learned to do their own makeup, like drag queens have learned to do a full beat by watching YouTube. Awesome.
Cool.
Because I know when I first was learning to do makeup, it was 4 stage. It was, well, you taught me this, and you taught me this, and you taught me... And so I would pick up different things from different people. But it took years to make it look like anything decent.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be like, wait, what was that I was doing? Was it this line or this? And I know that sometimes, back in the 80s, and I don't know if they still do this, I doubt it.
Yeah.
They would put out those little mini eyeshadow palettes, but it would be in the shape of an eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and it'd be like, this goes under your lid, this goes in your crease, this goes in... And it always looked gross.
Sure.
I mean, it's like... No.
It's muddy.
No. It was right. It would
because
be
you also have those little fucking applicators.
Right, the little teeny sponge applicator, and you did the entire eye.
Yep.
But now with social media, people have learned, you need good brushes.
Yep.
You need 100 palettes of makeup.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's with specifically makeup? And I know it's social media, but I didn't get to use social media a lot when I was learning how to do makeup.
Same. Because it didn't exist.
Right. So, like, it was your generation and then my generation. And, like, I didn't watch tutorials on YouTube. I didn't get to do that. I learned from you. I learned from, like, other women in my life. Just, like, tips and tricks, right? And then I just fucking did it. I just, like, did makeup over and over constantly.
Yeah.
I read books by, like, Kevin O'Quan, who's, like, my favorite makeup artist.
Well, it's because he was a makeup god.
Right. And so I would read other books. I have a billion makeup books because I would read them, look at see how to contour. And so I've been doing that shit for a long time. I remember being young and, you know, when you have, what is it called? I went to my mom's house on the weekends. I would just play with her makeup, and I was young, like 12, 13, and like every weekend painting my face. And so, like, learning that, and then it was just a practice in reading and, like, looking at pictures and analyzing it that way. But no one gave me tutorials except you. We played makeup together, but, like, no one gave me tutorials. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like I was like, okay, pause it here, show me how you're doing that. So really, I think social media, for a lot of reasons, has revolutionized most things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And maybe not everything, but it has helped gain public opinion. It's helped, you know, like, that's how you get public opinion often, right? That's how you get young people to give a shit often. You know, starting trends or doing a hashtag is bringing awareness to shit. Like, often that's what it's for, and it seems silly and dumb, but if you're in the older generation and you think social media is stupid, then you're not progressing with times. You know what I mean? Like, social media is everywhere and pervasive.
It is.
It doesn't have to be bad or good. It's neutral. It depends on how you use it. But again, you can get a petition signed much quicker by posting it to social media than by going door to door.
Yeah.
That
is true.
Do you know what I mean? You can get things done because everyone is already connected.
I also think it's because of social media that we've seen even some of the changes that we've seen. Like, the people who will record police brutality and then immediately post it.
Yes, it's important.
And then it gets around the world in 5 minutes.
Yep.
You know, because the whole thing with George Floyd, it was probably the most viewed, most horrific video. But it was instantly seen around the world as this horrific man murdering another man in the streets. And there's no argument about it. And then we had to have a how many weeks long case to prove that he did what we all saw him do. But it was, like, right there. And so that is one of the things I find most impressive about social media is, I mean, there's a lot of idiots out there. It's like, well, I'm going to record you and I'm going to get I'm going to go viral.
And then they look like a fool.
And then they look like idiots. It's like, you didn't give me my coffee and you know, it's like,
girl, all the time.
No one cares.
No
one cares.
That's the important part of, like, the age of information where it's easy to exchange information now, like, in the world we live in, the global economy. But also, like, social media, it's just connected people in a different way, right? Like, the core of the public opinion is major. It's not like it used to be with, like, burning of witches and putting people in the stocks and shit like that. But cancel culture is a whole part of social media, which I have my own issues with. But my point is, it has revolutionized the way people get together, how people gather, how people make changes and start movement. Also, though, it's a place where people can cause a lot of damage. Like, going back to George Floyd, the girl who took the video that everybody saw was, like, 18 or 19 years old, and she was a black girl. And, like, she is forever fucking traumatized. I mean, a lot of people are traumatized because of this, but she's the one who recorded the video that got posted, that everyone saw, and she gets to live with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, how heavy. So social media, and also with, like, revenge porn and, you know, you posting people's swatting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So revenge porn, first of all, is when you post nudes or porn about an ex after you break up, which is illegal in most places. But swatting is when, like, happens often in, like, gaming, right? Okay. So you're gaming with people. People do it to, like, their enemies or whatever. Well, basically just call the police and claim that this person has bombs, guns, weapons, X, Y, and Z, has a plan, want to execute something. Like, they're like a terrorist, essentially. And then SWAT will go to that person's house.
Oh my God.
And none of the allegations are true. So detrimental, fucked up, people get shot, people get murdered. But social media has also been a vehicle for a lot of ugliness. Like, the dark web is a whole thing because of the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it functions kind of like a social media. You have a handle, you do all the things, but it is just very interesting how if you want to make change and use it for good, you can, but you can also fuck someone's life up. Like, if I was much more of a sad person or a person who was upset by what people thought of me, like, my pictures were used to catfish people. Do you remember?
Yeah.
and used to like create an OnlyFans, which is so funny because I obviously wouldn't have been on it. But like people have used like my personal pictures and my personal information to be, to gain people to follow them. It's very weird. So yeah, the internet and social media, great. The exchange of information, the movements, all of it, awesome. But also can be very scary, Mm-hmm. And just meeting people from online can be great and also deadly, All
right, we're going to take a little break. For me, the kind of the darker side of not the darkest, not the really scary stuff, but one of the things that I became aware of was really from watching Drag Race, because Reddit. Reddit is, I think, a lot of really unhappy people who want to make other people unhappy. It's like, I saw you on television and I thought you were a bitch, so I'm going to tell you to go kill yourself.
Yeah.
Or you're a stupid, ugly, whatever. It's like, why?
Right.
Why do you feel the need? I don't understand that. And a lot of queens get the like highest praise and the love and the adoration, whereas other queens, and it's all, of course, dependent on, your edit on the show or how you look. Some of the girls who are edited as villains, and they might actually be, we don't know because reality TV, they get people telling them to kill themselves all the time. They get people telling them you're awful, you're horrible, you have nothing to offer the world, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what is wrong with you? I'm sorry, but if I hate you as a character on TV, that's as far as that goes, is me going, ugh, I can't stand her. Yeah. And I'll probably tell you, oh God, I hated that one. Did you see how she behaved?
Yeah.
Whatever, gross. But I'm certainly not going online, oh, she's a whore, I hate her, she should die.
Burn your house down, I will say one thing, is Reddit isn't just that. Reddit is like...
I know it's not,
it's like forums where people can, again, exchange information, whatever. And there's a lot of different things. Like, I follow some things about, like, mythology or new excavations through archaeology or whatever. So a lot of it is just interesting. Then there are the forums where it is pop culture and people, again, like the court of public opinion, like it's not good. No. It's not, but it is just like a part of it now.
I could see going into like a Drag Race forum and being like, oh my God, I loved Simone.
Sure.
She was amazing. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's the girl. Or, I didn't care for this person because they were boring, or they seemed kind of mean, or they were just bitchy, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I loved them because they were a total bitch.
Sure.
Whatever. But it's like, I didn't like so-and-so. Yeah. But not like, but she should die. And
no, right?
That's what I don't
she's
understand. Gross, and I hope she falls off the earth. Or
and because I think
calm the fuck down.
It's important to have the discourse, right? People being like, yes, love, appreciate, and then people are like, oh, I hate him, I don't like it, blah, 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 whatever. But the extreme of telling people to, like, kill themselves, or they shouldn't live, or they're the worst, like, that's so stupid to me. I think there are queens who are the worst, but I also don't think they should die. I just think they're fucking annoying. You know
right.
What I mean?
I think, of the queens, of the, 200 queens that have been on some form of Drag Race, I think it's actually more than that now.
Yeah.
There are ones that I love. There are ones that I think are fine. There are ones I don't care for. But I'm certainly not reaching out to them and going, no, you're a cunt, I hate you, please die.
But that's also just so much energy, right? That's like, girl, we don't put that much energy towards most things.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put that much...
why are you mad?
I'm not going to put that much energy.
It's a TV show.
Towards hating a queen I don't give a shit about.
So, and I'm going to use specifically, so you hate Fifi O'Hara because she was mean to Sharon Needles.
Yeah.
Sharon Needles is a grown-ass man.
Yeah. I do know.
Who can fight her own fight. And Fifi hurt her feelings. I mean, this is many years ago on Drag Race, obviously. Yeah. But why do you feel like, because you saw this argument happen, if you saw an argument happen on the street, would you run out there and go, you're horrible, you should die? No, of course you're not going to do it in person. Because that's the anonymity of the internet, is you get to be completely anonymous and say ugly, hateful things.
Well, and that's the thing about fan bases, too, girl. Fan bases, like, let's think about my least favorite fan base in all time are Christians, and they're also ugly people.
Oh, yeah.
For a God that is about compassion and love and blah, blah, blah. So, fan bases, no matter how good no matter how nice the person that they like is, or the idol that they're looking up to, or whatever... Fan bases, like, that mob mentality is ugly. Or, like, us versus them. Which is what the United States, for example, fosters, right? Like the differentiation
Oh,
of
yeah.
like us versus them. So,
Which I never really saw as severely until the Trump era. And then it became...
well, it became
really,
socially acceptable.
Yeah, well, and it also became the biggest divide I've ever seen. Because, there's always been, well, there's the Republicans, there's the Democrats. There's the right, there's the left, there's the this, there's that. But with the, Trumpers, it became... well, not only do we worship this horrible human being, which I just can't wrap my head around. It's like everything people say, well, but he's a criminal. Well, that's just fake news.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And it's just it became such a gigantic divide because you couldn't even say, like, if you said to me, because, I voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
If you said to me, well, he's not a great president either. No, he's not. He's better than the last one.
Yeah.
But is he great? No.
But listen,
he's 100 years old. We need someone who is young and who can change the world and who has different ideas and isn't owned by any corporations.
No.
So, that is the other thing that I hear a lot is I hear and I see on social media, I see all these people going, oh, I don't hear you say anything great about your president. What, you don't love him? And it's like, no.
I hate that shit.
I don't. Of course I don't love him.
Yeah.
He's a politician. I don't love any of them.
That's always so funny to me. Like, well, I don't see any merch of Biden. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, first of all, we're not going to wear, like, MAGA... like, the fact that you have merch and flags and shirts and hats and stickers and blah, blah, blah of a politician is a sickness, girl. And here's the thing. I don't like any politician. No. I don't care how progressive, how great you think you are. You're a fucking politician playing into the system that has ruined the world. Like... unless you're making active change and you are... but, like, who? You know what I mean? Right. AOC is, like, the only other person, but, like, she also comes with her shortcomings, right?
Sure.
But, like, every politician does. And so, like, that's the thing. I'm taking this class right now. I've talked about it with you about development and globalization, and it's horrible, and it makes me want to cry every day. But we're so entrenched in this system of the elites having what they want and everything being so interconnected that to disband or fix anything would have to be like a revolutionary global change. And that's like very challenging to get to because there are still elites. There's so much like inequality. But it's very hard and the other thing I was going to say was like about, you said it got worse with the Trump era, like the disparity between people, this divide. And it makes me think like that was always there. Trump becoming president and his people becoming like appointed and elected and people who followed his ideology, that really just emboldened their following, their base to give a shit, right? And to be like, well, you hate them, I hate them too, and then to be blatant and violent and crazy about it. But I wasn't alive during this point, but the Civil Rights Act in the mid-60s, before that happened, it was like socially acceptable to be openly racist. It was okay. Like, it was
expected.
It was expected for you to be racist, right? And then the Civil Rights Act comes and passes, and it turns out to like, oh, you can't discriminate against black people anymore. And so then being openly racist was no longer socially acceptable, right? So that's that same thing with Trump, though, right? Like, you can feel how you feel, but you can't be vocal about it. Like, you can identify with this divide and know that, like, you're a Trumper or whatever, but to be vocal about it is what changed. To be so vocal and emboldened and emblazoned.
Well, and that's kind of what I felt the whole time is, and again, social media. Because him with his Twitter account, tweeting out just hate and hate and hate and hate. And, all the racism, all the homophobia, all the different things. And then his people jumping on it and whatever. And I do feel that it really was like, oh, our leader is saying all the things I think. All the ugly, whatever. Of course, they don't think it's ugly.
No.
All of the stuff I believe about those people, whoever those people are.
Yep.
And so I guess I can say it too.
Yep.
If he's saying it, I can say it. And it's like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why do you feel... What is that? What happened to you? Who hurt you?
Well, and
and it was like, how were you raised that you think that any group of people, any group, is all good, all bad,
stupid,
all anything?
Well, and it's okay. People. This is kind of a sidebar, but when people talk about like who they're attracted to, and they're like, "Well, I'm just not attracted to." Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Asian people, black people, whatever it is, And like all of one group of people, like that's so limiting and so fucking
and weird
and so stupid, right? It's like and it's inaccurate because I bet you that you can say that statement whatever it is, I don't find, this isn't what I feel, it's just an example, like Asian men attractive. I'm sure you would find an Asian man attractive. So to say that statement is wrong and it's stupid.
Well, it's ignorant, is what it is.
It's so stupid. Yeah,
but it's like that was for the longest time with all with social media, like dating sites and stuff.
Preferences.
It's like no fats, no femmes, no Asians, and so it's like. So you feel comfortable
saying that?
Fat shaming someone, being openly racist, and then people will be like, I'm not racist. I just want you to know I'm not attracted to anybody of that race.
And then the whole issue with feminization, people are like, oh, but you're feminine. So like, what's wrong with being feminine? One, what's wrong with being a woman? Two, right? Because being feminine equated with being a woman. And so it's just like internalized misogyny across the board.
I know this is way, way off topic.
That's
but
okay.
So one of the stations I listen to, radio stations I listen to when I drive, is Charlie FM.
Okay.
And they play these really stupid, like somebody called in and left a message, and it's like Charlie's a real person, not a radio station. Yeah. And I'd be like, hey, Charlie, I sure had fun with you this weekend at the barbecue. Whatever. Yeah. The one today, I was like, did they really just play that? Because it was like, Charlie, they keep calling you a femme, but I think you're attractive. And I was like, what?
Holy shit.
Did you really mean that to sound how misogynistic and how homophobic that sounded? During Pride. Not during Pride.
I know.
Not on Christmas Dawn. I was like, what?
How dare
Did
you?
I just hear that? Because, I mean, I realized it was just somebody trying to be funny. And it was like, ooh, tone deaf.
That reminds me of that one other thing the one thing I was going to say. Because
just
there's
the
nothing
one
else
thing.
to say.
Right. And then you're done talking. This one thing.
I'll be all done. It ties into that, though. Like, this radio station being like, queer friendly or whatever it is, right? And then saying shit like that is just ignorant. And to me, it reminds me of like, this is the issue with quote unquote allyship or being an advocate. There's people like Trump who was like, I love the LGBT, you know what I mean? I love the queers, whatever. Right. And then voted to like remove rights for trans people's healthcare, right? Right. And like the ignorant things that happened towards queer people during his presidency. And like, so you played on the fact that you were this big ally and you weren't. Same thing with like Latinos for Trump. Like he played to your base and then locked people in the fucking border. I mean, that's been happening, but it became worse, right? Border Patrol became fucking insane. ICE was a fucking thing that was like ruining people's lives. And so it's like
his appointee Betsy DeVos,
crackhead,
also owned the company that was making profit on these people being locked up at the border and then basically selling these children into like adoption agencies because they got lost from their parents. So their parents got shipped back and they couldn't find them because they didn't have any documentation. And it's like,
shady. So it's that. It's like going back to social media. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like it's unnecessary and like, you're not harboring anything but division and violence. You know what I mean? When you pretend to be to support something, gay people, whatever it is, and then you actively harm them. Yeah. It's awful, and it's detrimental.
You're fooling no one because we see you.
Exactly.
And, that's the other thing about social media is you will get your shit called out right quick. And that is one of the things actually that I really like is... this, and I'm going to go back to the whole thing with Disney, with all the shit that happened in Florida, is, the president of Disney was like, okay, well, I won't give him any more money, but I'm not going to talk about it. Within seconds on social media, it was all like, you have thousands of queer employees, and you're not going to say anything about how we're being treated? And then it was like, well, whatever. And then okay, I might talk about it, but... And then they were like, fine, we're all going to walk out. And within minutes, literally, there was this whole walkout, all organized online. And then it was suddenly, oh shit, now I have to do the right thing. Yep. I'm being forced to do the right thing. Now, I am not a big fan of this human being because he did the right thing because he was forced. Yep. His hand was forced. I mean, eventually he did the right thing, but I'm not giving you a whole lot of credit for doing the right thing because they basically held a gun to your head and said, do the right thing. Yeah. It's like, here, I'm going to show you flashcards with the right thing on them, and you're going to hopefully get it and do the right thing. You should just know the right thing.
I think that's hugely problematic. You can't... if you are coerced into doing the right thing, then that doesn't make you a good fucking person. Do you know what I mean? You should just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. But
it makes you a business person.
And that's it.
Like,
but
I know that I'm going to lose millions or billions of dollars if I don't do what they think is the right thing. Because there's, like, the right thing, and then there's the thing that I've been doing, and I want to do that, but this is going to cost me money, and yeah.
Well, and so that, you know, it is people being bought, right? And that's like making everything a private industry, and it's a lot of stupid jargon. But like, think about it like this: we know what food insecurity means, right? Like people who don't have food, people who don't have any sort of nutrition or food to eat. A lot of houseless people don't have food security. A lot of people who live in developing nations or whatever. Like Flint, Michigan had water insecurity, right? So the world is more, we've talked about this, is like very overly connected, and it's just basically raping the developing world to give money to like the United States and the Western world and whatever, right? But they redefined food insecurity, like the world organizations, like the World Trade Organization and whatever. They redefined what food insecurity meant. It doesn't mean that you don't have food. It just means it means that you can eat. It doesn't mean that necessarily it's good for you, right? So it's not just basically saying like, oh, you don't have food. You have food, but what if we only gave you like shit food to eat? You know what I mean? Like,
oh, okay.
So they have food, so they're not food insecure, but they aren't getting nutrition. They're not being healthy. Right. It's not helping them.
So it's like the shit that they're feeding them in prison.
Exactly.
We're going
right?
to send you some slop.
So it's not really food.
Be
so
grateful.
Like prisoners don't have food insecurity,
no.
But when technically they don't have access to nutrition, they don't have, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, my point is that the world is very fucked up and very interconnected, and it's just a lot of taking from people who can't give,
right?
And calling it, and then we're helping them, but we aren't. You know what I mean? People are
still
impoverished.
You're doing things in the name of help, but it's not real.
But it's not real help. People are still houseless. People are still hungry. People are dying. People don't have education or healthcare around the world, and we act like development has been a great thing. But I think overall, one thing that has helped push the idea that we need such social change is social media. And that's the point of it, right? Social media. It's, you know, connect and have a good time, but also I think people have changed to be active. They don't want to just chit-chat and like shit. They want to be active. And I think with the world dying, it's a good time to fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you do indeed believe that is happening, and if you don't believe, then where the hell are you?
Right.
You know, because I see things all the time where someone will post about, you know, the glaciers melting or the polar caps melting or, you know, whatever it is, things that are
detrimental,
that are measurable, that are documentable, and other people are like, ugh, fake news. This is just the way the world goes. Yes, it is the way the world goes, and if it continues going this way, the world is going to not exist. Yep. And my theory, and I know as a not scientist, as a, you know, not very educated, I went to high school, I went to beauty school, whatever, but I personally believe what will happen is that eventually the world's just going to kill us all off so that it can heal.
Oh, yeah. And it will. Once we're all dead, it will heal, right? Like, parts of it will.
It will probably take millions of years because we have done some serious damage. And that's the other thing, is the people on the other side of the aisle, the Republicans who don't believe that global warming or climate change or any of those things are real, they always say, oh, really, how can us little human beings make such a difference that we've destroyed this world?
Look around. There's 7 billion of us.
Look around.
Right, exactly. And you've ruined literally everything. You ruin and poison the land and water for everybody and the air.
I remember when I was first learning about Henry Ford, you know, and that kind of thing, the factories and stuff, and how they would run all of their toxic runoff right directly into the river. Because nobody was there was
no regulation.
No, and they're like, well, what's wrong with that?
Yep.
Or, you know, it's like, well, you're killing all the fish, you're poisoning the water. You're killing the people who live right around there, which, of course, the people who live closest to those sources that were being destroyed were always people of color and poor people.
Yep.
So, but who cares about that? Let them die. You know, whatever. We don't care. It's like the shit that was coming down the pike was never going near any of the rich people.
No. And that's interesting. Just, you know, one thing I'll learn, and then we have to go, but is that capitalism, which we all live in, there's no way to not live in it while it's a system, right? But also, capitalism doesn't function without exploiting people and resources, right? So if there weren't people to go, if people stopped going to these factories and these jobs and these work in these places where they're not getting paid enough, they don't have benefits. Amazon is a really good fucking example of this. But you know what I mean? Any place, pick a place. Even agricultural workers, because if all of them stopped, we'd be screwed, right? So like capitalism will cease to function if and when we stop exploiting people, because it can't exist. You have to have people and resources to exploit. So without that, if everyone just walked out of their job on the same day, it would halt kind of everything. The global economy. You know what I mean? Which is a big deal. But that's the thing, is how do we do that? How do we do that to make actual social change for the better? Because they care about private interests and not what's going to help communities of people.
Well, and I do think that the revolution, though it's slow to happen, is happening, and it's happening on social media. It's people going, here are these things. Here's these things I bet you didn't know. Yeah. Let me share this thing with you that I found. Here's this little known fact. Here's this thing. And I have learned so much stuff. I learned so much history because after I read about it, because I'm not just going to read it and go, it must be a fact. I read it on the interwebs. I will then look it up and look at sources and go, oh, this is true. This is real. And that's how I've learned so much about some of the just horrific things that happened to the indigenous people here and around the world. Is through social media, because I then was reading it and going, oh God. And then when I found things that I found very disturbing or interesting or whatever, then I would read books about it and be like, oh my God.
Yeah, horrible.
The things I didn't know.
Exactly.
Because the things they don't teach you in school.
Yeah. So I think it's important. We're going to wrap up our little show. Sorry you didn't get out of the drag crypt or whatever.
I talked about it at the beginning, though. About my tail.
Snaps for you, girl.
Clearly my tail was
that
about
was your
being
tail.
The oldest person in the world
doing drag. But one thing I do want to say...
again, looked amazing.
Right.
My number was fabulous.
So
people loved
that.
me.
Is a great crypt story.
Yeah. I mean, I literally came directly out of the crypt. The crypt doors opened.
and then the bitch performed and laid back down.
And all the bats flew out, and the dust blew off.
And then
I laid back down.
So I think it's important to say, social media, social change. Go and join an organization, girl. My friend Cece and I are going to go and work in the community garden at Naya, which is like the Native American Youth Center.
Nice.
Just get involved. Donate money, donate time. Go learn about somebody else. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things you can do to help change here, no matter where you are. It doesn't matter. Local, again, just get out there. And you don't have to be physically there. You can do social change, you can petition, you can send money, you can give a shit. And that's what matters.
There's also things like smaller businesses. Instead of doing Amazon or instead of going to the mall, I have a little flyer right in front of me for the Indigenous Marketplace, which is 432 Northeast 74th Avenue in Portland. It happens like every weekend.
You can also Google.
That's a lie. It happens every month on one week. Yes, but you can Google it.
The Indigenous Marketplace.
Indigenous Marketplace.
In Portland, yeah.
In Portland, Oregonia. It's indigenousmarketplace.org.
And a lot of the...
And then you're doing business with small businesses and...
Indigenous.
And
they partnered with a lot of Black business owners, too. So it's very multicultural. Go do your thing. But as always, you should, like this, share it, subscribe, listen to it on a podcasting app. Tell all your friends, family, send me hate mail. Tell me the organizations that you're going to go help with. Until next time, children. If you have questions, concerns, email us at itwouldseemasthough@gmail.com. Bye, bitch!
Bye!
Bye! It would seem as though...